Today we're reading in Leviticus chapters 14 and 15. Now, I will tell you that it's not really interesting reading, but there's some really interesting things in these two chapters that, well, I think you'll find at least amusing. We're talking about Mosaic law, and as we saw yesterday in Leviticus chapter 13, that the priest was the person who was the health inspector for the issue of leprosy. Now, leprosy, by the way, back then was could be anything that was a scaliness of the skin, because the word used for leprosy in the Hebrew language was a word which simply meant scaliness. So every time a person had some sort of an abnormal skin ailment, they treated it like it might be leprosy, and it became the priest's job to police that and take the proper precautions. Well, in chapter 14, we begin with great news. The leprosy is gone, so what does the person who formerly was thought to maybe have been a leper, what does he do now? Well, there's a ceremony, and some birds got to die in this ceremony. Sorry about that. And here's the really interesting thing that accompanies this freedom from leprosy now. The former leper has to shave his hair all over. I mean, his hair, even his eyebrows, his beard, everything's got to go. But still, he's pretty happy because he's no longer banished outside the camp. He's not classified as a leper anymore. So you see this guy, and he's outside the camp, and he's walking into the camp, and he seems so happy. Yet he's weird looking. No hair on his head, no beard. Almost all the men had beards then. Not even any eyebrows. Why is he so happy? Well, because he's not a leper anymore. On the 8th day, though, he's got to go through more ceremony. On the 8th day, he has to offer 4 sacrifices: a trespass offering, a sin offering, a burnt offering, and a grain offering. Now, the poor had different provisions. They didn't have to provide all that. And that's the freedom from leprosy ceremony. 2 ceremonies. And then we have the last part of chapter 14, which deals with house leprosy. House leprosy? Well, again, remember that leprosy was considered a scaliness. So these Hebrews are going to be moving into some nasty Canaanite homes that were there previous to them, and apparently these are provisions for what do you do when you move into one of those homes and there's something growing on the walls inside. Well, again, the priest, he's the health inspector. He has to come inspect it and determine what to do about it. And there are provisions that are prescribed by the priest to take care of your house that might just have leprosy. In chapter 15, we spend the first few verses talking about, well, what appears to be cases of venereal disease that are again policed by the priest. And then there are certain things that even married couples did that made them unclean until evening. You need to read and see what those were. We also see that women got a week's vacation each month. Well, that's the way I read it. You read it and see what you think about it in chapter 15. And then there are certain times when women got this extended vacation, and read about that as well. So there are some interesting things in today's reading, and I hope that you find them and enjoy them. Thanks for reading, and we'll see you tomorrow.